Good evening, it's 6 p.m. here in Cairo. Welcome to Channel 2's latest news updates. Here's a look at the main headlines. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receives delegation of Israeli and Jewish Affairs Center in Canada. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry meets with the Jordanian counterpart Ayman Safadi ahead of the Arab League's council meetings. And UK's Prime Minister Johnson says he would get a Brexit deal and leave the European Union on October 31st. Welcome back. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met today with the delegation of the Israeli and Jewish Affairs Center in Canada and the ascendance of the intelligence chief Abbas Kamel, as well as the Canadian ambassador to Cairo. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassam Radi said that President al-Sisi welcomed the center's initiative to send a delegation to Egypt, considering it a step to enhance bilateral relations between Egypt and Canada. The president also cherished the Egyptian-Canadian ties, stressing that bilateral cooperation should be expanded on political, economic and cultural levels. The members of the Canadian delegation said that they were keenly interested in visiting Egypt to meet with the President al-Sisi in view of Egypt's pivotal role to further stabilize the Middle East and give momentum to political solutions to the crises crippling the region. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi presided over a meeting of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, the Chief of the Arab Industrialization Authority General Abdelmonem Terras, and a number of concerned ministers. Spokesman of the Presidential Cabinet, Ambassador Bassam Radi, disclosed that the President al-Sisi was updated on the headway made by an executive plan to manage solid waste. Unfolding rural development in Upper Egypt governorates partially funded by the World Bank at a cost of 18 billion Egyptian pounds were also reviewed at the meeting. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli presided over a meeting on Tuesday with a number of ministers and the head of Development Authority of Small and Medium-Sized Projects to follow up on the implementation of a Decent Life initiative. During the meeting, the Prime Minister confirmed that there is full coordination between the government and the NGOs to upgrade the standard of the livings in villages in order to achieve development, improve services and create job opportunities. For her part, the Minister of Social Solidarity said that the construction work in 145 villages is due to be concluded by the end of the first year of the initiative. Meanwhile, the NGO's officials said that the undergoing projects in the fields of health, education and development will be ended as soon as possible. The Interior Ministry announced on Tuesday that the national security apparatus had unveiled a plot by the Brotherhood terrorist group in Turkey, which was aimed at hitting Egypt's economy. The ministry said in a statement that the plot was planned to target vital installations around the country. According to the statement, the plot included 3 networks to smuggle funds and wanted terrorists out of the country. It added that it was planned that such networks were tasked with providing funds for terrorists inside the country to carry out terrorist attacks. The ministry also announced that the fugitive elements of the terrorist group in Turkey have been identified, adding that 16 terrorists involved in the plot have been arrested in Egypt. The inaugural session of the 152nd meeting of the Arab League Council began today on a ministerial level at the Arab League's headquarters in Cairo, with the Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Gheit attending and addressing the session. Mohammed Ali al-Hakim, Foreign Minister of Iraq, which holds the current presidency of the Arab League, said his country refuses the Turkish presence in Iraq. He also stressed the centrality of the Palestinian issue for the Arab nation. The Arab foreign ministers will be discussing a host of regional issues and crises, including the Palestinian issues, situation in Syria, Libya, Yemen, as well as the Iranian interference in the Arab region. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry today met with the Jordanian counterpart Ayman Safadi, head of a ministerial level meeting of the Arab League Council. The meeting discussed the latest updates over bilateral cooperation between Egypt and Jordan, as well as regional issues of concern, notably the Palestinian cause and the unfolding situation in Syria, Libya and Yemen. The two ministers also discussed terrorism fighting efforts on regional levels and way to support the joint Arab action in light of facing the challenges with an aim of safeguarding security and stability in the Arab region. The foreign minister also met with the United Arab Emirates State Minister for Foreign Affairs Anwar Qarqash and hailed a genuine political will to upgrade relations in light of historic ties binding Egypt and the United Arab Emirates on both official and popular levels. The two ministers exchanged viewpoints on regional issues of concern. The United Arab Emirates official voiced his country's interest in boosting relations with Egypt in a way that leads to achieving the joint interests of both countries. At least 31 pilgrims died Tuesday in a stampede at a major shrine in Iraq's Karbala, where they were marking the Ashura festival. The Health Ministry spokesman Saif al-Badr said the toll could rise even further as another 100 people were injured, including 10 in critical conditions. Sudan's new government held its first meeting today, led by the Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, since it took oath of office on Sunday. The meeting probed priority issues to be addressed in the upcoming period, including establishing peace, handling economic crises, forming an independent investigation committee into the latest violence. A joint meeting of both the Sudanese cabinet and Sudan's Supremacy Council is also expected to discuss the appointment of public prosecutor and a head of the highest judiciary body. In the occupied Palestinian territories, Israeli occupation forces continued its crackdown of Palestinians living in Jerusalem, arresting 5 in a raid of Al-Iswara neighborhood in East Jerusalem. 8 other Palestinians were detained by the Israeli forces in raids in other parts of the occupied West Bank overnight. Last night, several Palestinians were injured in clashes with the Israeli occupation forces who raided the village of Safa, located on the northeast of the central West Bank city of Ramallah. The Russian Defense Ministry denied that Russian or Syrian warplanes struck the Idlib de-escalation zone. This came as a war monitor and rebel group spokesman said today that an airstrike hit part of the northwest Syria for the first time since the ceasefire was declared 10 days ago. Syrian government forces and Russian forces agreed a truce on August 31st in opposition-controlled Idlib, where a de-escalation zone was brokered 2 years ago. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said on Tuesday he would get a Brexit deal and leave the European Union on October 31st, but he would not request an extension to the Brexit. The announcement came hours after a law came into force demanding that he delay until 2020 unless he can take a strike on a divorce deal. Here's the story.
Beleaguered Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson vowed to continue his attempts to strike a new pre-exit deal with Brussels after losing yet another vote on Tuesday during a chaotic parliamentary session. British lawmakers have passed a law to force Johnson to ask for a delay to Brexit if there is no deal. A move, he says, will tie his hands in talks, but one which lawmakers hope might make him focus on securing an agreement with Brussels. For the second time in a week, lawmakers then rejected Johnson's request to try to break the deadlock through an early national election. Johnson held a cabinet meeting later on Tuesday to plot his next move after a series of defections and expulsions left him far short of a parliamentary majority. He was also due to meet later Tuesday with leader of the Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party amid rumors that he may be softening his negotiating demands over the key issue of the Irish border and associated trade conditions after Brexit. Meanwhile, a group of conservative Labour and Liberal Democratic lawmakers called MPs or the Member of Parliament for a deal launched an initiative to bolster efforts to secure a deal to lead the European Union. The group said it would try to rally support for an agreement based on one former leader, Theresa May, had worked on with the opposition Labour Party but was previously by the Parliament. With the Brexit crisis deepening and Parliament suspended, lawmakers and the Prime Minister are scrambling to find ways to seek an orderly Brexit at the end of October, which may prevent severe blows to the businesses and divides in Britain.
Egypt's stocks hiked up today, collectively supported by purchases by foreign and Arab investors. Benchmark EGX 30 was up by 0.5%, reaching 14,960 points. And also the newly launched capped EGX 30 rose up by 0.9%. Both secondary indices, EGX 70 for small and medium enterprises and the broader EGX 100 turned green with hikes of 0.3% and 0.7% respectively. The Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics, CAPMAS, today said that the annual inflation rate for urban consumer prices have receded to 7.5% in August compared to 8.7% in July. The report described the decline in inflation as the lowest since March of 2013. Against a backdrop of rising prices of vegetables and fruits in Egypt in recent years, both the Interior Ministry and the Armed Forces have notably supplied foodstuff to citizens in lower than market prices in an attempt to alleviate burdens over the citizens. Oil futures hit their highest levels in 6 weeks after Saudi Arabia's new energy minister confirmed that he would stick with his country's policy of limiting crude output to support prices. U.S. crude traded at $58.43 a barrel after hitting the highest since July 31st, and Brent crude futures climbed to $63.2